Good evening. Thank you. How did I, Maria Celeste Provenzano Cook, get here this evening? I was at my first event in February. I was in the audience with my beloved friend Lisa, who's here tonight. Thank you, Lisa. When Steve Ross, the co-founder, came out and said, the next series will be on enlightenment, Lisa, without a nanosecond of delay, leaned over to me and said, Maria Celeste, you need to be here. When the universe gives you signs and symbols along your way of enlightenment, it behooves you to pay attention to them because it will open up a world for you, and that world is yours. So I sat straight up in my chair and I said yes to the sliver of the moon. Enlightenment. Who enlightens the enlightened ones? En, to be in the state or condition of the stem. Enrich, encourage, enjoy, and light. Light, an illuminating factor, the opposite of dark. Enlighten, to increase the light. Ment, the state or condition as a result of an action. Enlightenment. Enlightenment, spiritual understanding, knowledge, and wisdom. According to the Buddhist tradition, enlightenment is an awareness that frees you from the state of rebirth. How beautiful is that? An awareness, a consciousness, a thought. Everything is created first in thought, and it behooves you also to be the sage of your thoughts, because everything comes from thought. The chair you're sitting on, this beautiful building that we're in, the clothes that you are wearing, and everything between here and the 8 great wonders of the world were first conceived in thought. And you are of that same thought. Infinite source, divine creator, God, is behind that source. And if you take a drop of ocean out of the ocean, what do you have? You still have the ocean. When the Creator creates its creation, the Creator is in the creation, and the creation is of the Creator. There is no separation. The only difference is not quality, but an understanding of that degree of oneness. And you are that oneness. Mystery, manifestation, and enlightenment all come from that same source. And you, and you, and you, and you are all of that source. And don't let anyone take that God spark away from you, because you were born that way. When I was a little girl, my mother smoked Camel cigarettes, non-filtered. And on the back of the Camel cigarettes, there were 3 pyramids and 3 men riding camels that I used to say, the wise men, and 3 words, fine Turkish blend. And I would say over and over again to my mother, Mom, talk to me of Turkey, talk to me of Turkey. But we really have to write this company because these pyramids are not in Turkey, they're in Egypt. And she would say, Mon Dieu, how do you solve a problem like Maria? If you ask my beloved husband who is here tonight, I love you, Eric, God bless you. He will tell you, you don't. Fast forward 30 years in my life, and you'll find me on pilgrimages to the southern part of Lourdes, the southern part of France to Lourdes, where the Blessed Mother appeared to Bernadette. And on this particular trip, my roommate, who was also a Third Order Dominican like I at the time, she said to me, Maria, Father Allen, our spiritual advisor in Washington, D.C., he's doing a pilgrimage, the footsteps of St. Paul through Turkey and Greece. And I want to go, but I want you to be my roommate, so you have to go. No pressure, right? I said, Maureen, I really don't know where I'm going to be in 6 months. She said, I really want you to think about it. 3 days after I returned back to America, my church calls me. Signs and symbols. Maria, we want you to be a Bible study leader. And the book that we're doing is the book of St. Paul. I called up Father Allen the next day and I said, Father, I'm not saying I'm going, but the universe is certainly enlightening my way because they want me to teach the book of St. Paul. He said, Maria, I really want you on that trip. I said, I'll think about it, Father. 6 months later, I'm on a bus taking me from the Istanbul airport along the beautiful Bosporus to my hotel in Istanbul. The little girl in me was lit up like a Christmas tree. I was in the land of the back of the Camel cigarettes. The female senior financial analyst in me, who had once worked in graduate school for the Massachusetts Port Authority, was mesmerized by what I saw on the Bosporus. I knew there were signs and symbols out there for me to come back to America as an investment opportunity for my clients. Because you see, what I did as an investment advisor, I not only managed my clients' money, I truly felt I was responsible for giving them financial freedom so that they could live their lives through their dreams and have their path of enlightenment. And I took that very seriously. So what I was seeing were signs and symbols on the Bosporus. There was 3.5 to 5 days of backlog waiting to get into that port. The cargo, the freight, the tankers, and the barges told me that was an investment opportunity. When I got to America, I need to figure it out. And as we got deeper and deeper into a very rural country, there were more signs and symbols along the way. There was bridges, roads, highways, and even dams, electricity, being built in the rural aspects of this country. And I knew, being the sage of my thoughts, that I was being affirmed that there was an investment opportunity there. So when I got back to America, it was made very easy for me. For the company that I worked for, thank you, Morgan Stanley, had the Morgan Stanley Turkish Fund. Not only was I enlightened by what I saw, but I knew that the people in New York that I trusted to take care of my clients also knew that there was an enlightened opportunity there. But I also found that not only did I want to invest in that country, I wanted to go live in that country. Every aspect of my being pulled me halfway around the world to go live in the back of the Camel cigarette package. In the words of my mother, I was batshit crazy for wanting to get, God rest her soul, I love you, Mom, to go halfway around the world to live in a God-forsaken country. You see, at the time, I was one of the most successful female financial brokers in the state of Indiana. I was living the American dream, and I was being asked to forsake it to go halfway around the world. I had a tremendous social life. I had a very personal and pristine private life, and I had a spiritual life that was magnificent. And so, being the sage of my thoughts, I knew I needed to understand that I was doing the right thing. From the time I was a little girl and could pray, to this morning and hopefully to tomorrow, I always pray, into thy hands, O Lord, I commend my spirit. Thy will be done in my life. So I put myself on a 3-day silent retreat in southern Indiana. And on the last day of that retreat, the bulletin board that they always had present for us, the words read, 2/3 of the word of God is go. You betcha I cried. But if you flip the word God backwards, 2/3 of the word of God is do. Divine order, dynamic obedience. I obeyed and I went. But before I went, my church, St. Alphonsus Catholic Church at the time in Zionsville, gave me a lovely going away party. And at the party, one of the parishioners, this tiny little woman, came up in my face, all angry and frustrated. And she said, "You can't do this." And I gently put my hands on her shoulders to calm her down. And I said, "Yes, I can. I leave Tuesday." You see, when the universe asks you to shine your light bright, if you read all the books and the sages of the world, they will tell you it's our responsibility to shine our light bright. And when you shine your light bright, you're telling other people they're responsible for shining their light bright. And some people don't want that responsibility. I don't want to know what you do for a living, what kind of car you drive, what kind of house you live in, how much money you have in the bank. I want to know if at the end of a day, being sick and weary to the bone, that you can get up in the morning and do what it takes to feed the children. I want to know if you will stand in life's fire with me, raw and vulnerable, with your pain or with mine, and say yes to the sliver of that moon. I want to know if you can forsake everything and everyone without ever forsaking yourselves. So I ask you all this evening to do yourselves an amazing honor. Before you go to bed tonight, go home and stand in front of that mirror, naked, raw, and vulnerable, and look at that God spark in your souls and ask yourselves, who enlightens the enlightened one? Thank you. Good night. God bless you.